Hey everyone, it's Andrew Brown, and in this video what we're going to do is we are going to take Daria's project and work it into our system because we have that application, or she has that application, but it needs to be adapted so that it fits within our Lang portal. So I'm going to go look for that repo there, and we don't need the deployment side of it because we just need the Streamlit application, or we can rework it for our use case. But I'm gonna open this repo up. Right, and so we have it over here. I'm going to make my way over to my repo. I think I already have it downloaded, so I might want to do this in the local development. I'm just trying to think about this because this is just using that single library, and so I should be able to run it locally. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I think I'll start with VS Code. So I have something open here. I think it's like the Pokey agent, which was something else I was looking at recently. But I'm going to go and try to find my repo here for the Free Gen AI Bootcamp. I'm going to make sure I don't have any commits that are in the way. I do have this front-end technical spec. I'm not sure if this has been changed since last time. Nothing really has changed. So I'm going to go ahead and just discard this change here. And so what I'm going to do is make a new repo here. And I'm going to take a look here. This one's called Kana Streamlit App. So I'm going to call it, I'm going to give it more of a generic name, as maybe you might want to adapt it for your specific language or something. But I'm going to call this writing practice, right? So I feel like you could even take an image with your phone and then upload it as the way to practice for this. And so it was implemented in Streamlit, and Streamlit's fine. I think we could work with that there. All I want to do is I want to, I guess the thing is, like, our Lang portal has words. And so if we were to launch an application and it passes along that word group, we should be able to see the information for it there, right? So like, that's probably our first step. So what I'm going to do to get us started, I'm going to make a new file here called app.py. And, you know, I could use Windsurf. I could use a bunch of stuff. But what I'm going to do is go over to Claude. You can use whatever you like as well. And I'm just going to say, Claude, you use ChatGPT, whatever. I'm going to say, I need a basic Streamlit application, which is going to... I'm trying to describe this. So maybe what we'll do... it really always comes back down to documentation, but I'm going to go over to, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going here. But I'm going to go to our curriculum here, and maybe what I'll do is document what we should be doing. So I'm going to make a new one here. I'm going to call this one, add a subtab. This is going to be, I'll call level 300, as I think the finger spelling is a lot more challenging. So we'll say 300. This will be writing practice. Okay. I'm going to drag this one up here, and OPA is over here. We'll drag this one up here like this. And we'll go into this one here, and I need a bit of a reference. So I'll just grab some of this here. Say writing practice. And, you know, remember that, you know, the scope of Daria's app was specifically just Kana characters, just hiragana or katakana. It wasn't even kanji. I know a bit more Japanese, and so for me, I want to be able to do full words, and we can use OCR manga to do that. But we could also use an agent if we don't have, right, a specific model for OCRing, then we can just use an LLM, and it is a bit more computationally expensive, but it should still work, right? But I'll go here and just say, you have been tasked, you know, students have asked if there could be a tool, there could be a learning exercise to practice writing, like language sentences. Okay, so the idea here. So students have asked if there could be a learning exercise to practice writing language sentences. So you have been tasked to build a prototype application which will take a word group, and it depends on what we wanted to do. Like, I could make it so, like, okay, I see the word, like it tells me the word, and then I have to write the word out and then confirm it's right. So it depends on what it is. Do you want to practice writing sentences, or do you want to practice seeing the English word and then trying to write it in the target language correctly? So students have been asked if they could there could be a learning exercise to practice writing language sentences. You have been tasked to build a prototyping application. I said sentences, which will take a word group and generate very simple sentences in English, and you must write them in the target language, e.g. Japanese. So we're going a little bit farther. We're not even just doing single letters or single words. We're going to do like a sentence. And so that's what I would like to do. So we'll say technical requirements. Streamlit. We'll use Streamlit. Manga OCR. So for Japanese, or for another language, use an AI, like a managed API, managed LLM that has vision, e.g., ChatGPT or GPT-4o. I think that it can do it, right? I'm not sure. Maybe we can use one from like Amazon Bedrock or something, as I know that one has a vision model, but one of these APIs will have a vision model, right? And so those are the only two things. The other thing is like we need to be able to take photos. So, be able to upload an image. The thing that Darius had is like you could draw it right in place, right? But I think that I would rather just write it out, take a photo, feed the photo into the system, and then see if I got it right. We could also just write it in Paint and then paste it in, and that would be another way to do it. So let's think about what the design of this app should look like. And I mean, we could probably draw it in Paint if we wanted to for fun. I don't usually do this, but we'll try it. So for the application here, the idea is that we will have our sentence. We'll have a spot to upload. So we'll have our target sentence. Then we'll have our upload. This doesn't really work well for prototyping, does it? So I'm going to go over to Lucid Charts, even though my Lucid Chart's kind of a mess right now. At some point, I got to recreate the diagram. So I'm going to go into the JP architectural diagramming, and I'm going to make a new tab here, and we'll call this one writing practice. And so I'm going to drag out a box like this. And it's blue. I don't want blue. I just want white. Just want a regular box. Nope, still blue. How about this one? There we go. That's normal. And so, we have example sentence. Right? So that will be one thing that we need here, the example sentence. With the key vocab, right? I might even want to like highlight a word. So I'm going to go over here and say like, give me a simple sentence using the Japanese word for new, right? And we'll see what we get here. Okay, how about give me a practice sentence to use the Japanese word for new, but give me an English sentence that I will have to write out. I mean, it's not like it's even that hard for me to think of one, but I'm going to do that anyway, because we'll have to write that prompt here in a moment. So like maybe it's like, we'll go here, like say, oops, have to hit controller. That's a new book. Right? And I don't know why it keeps going blue, but I'm going to go with it. We'll just say upload image. Right? And here we'll have output. And, well, I guess it'd be transcription. So transcription. And then we want to see what it thinks it is, right? So we'll have transcription. So that's a new book. I'm going to get my, I'm going to switch this over to Japanese if I have it installed. Do I? I do. Okay, so if it's that's a new book, we're putting emphasis on the book. And we're saying it's a book. So atarashi. Atarashi. It is not. Come on. Give me Japanese. Here we go. Atarashi. There's a keyboard I install and I switch over to it. You can also just type it in here and copy it over, but I want to write it for my head. So atarashi. Atarashi. Hon. It's just hon. Come on. Hon. Yeah, it's just a book. Oh, it really doesn't want to give me the book character. Hon. I'll put Nihon in there, but that's not what I want. I just want that. So we have atarashi hon desu. And so, I mean, this is a new book. Anyway, so that would be my attempt, right? So maybe I would have over here, and I'll pretend like this is my scrap paper tape. I don't know why it keeps making everything white. It's really annoying. But we'll say over here, so we'll do this and center this. Why does it not like hon? Hon is not a hard thing for it to write, but maybe it doesn't like the font. Is that a little bit better for it? I don't know why we're getting this weird symbol over hon. Okay, give me this. Oh. Come on, get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there. I'm trying to switch it back over to the original keyboard here. Let's go to US keyboard here. The Japanese symbol for book. So we'll do that. Here we go, hon. And I'm hoping maybe if I copy it from here, we'll have less of an issue. Because it looks like it has like some weird version of hon. Nope, it just crosses out. So I think this is an issue specifically with Lucid charts. So I'm just going to have to ignore that or change the word, which I'm not going to do. Well, you know, I'll try one more word like kuruma. Give me the word for car, e.g. kuruma. There we go, kuruma. That's a very easy one to draw. And no matter what I do here, it's strange. It's like, what if I do it on this one here? That one's fine. So let me go here. Maybe it has something to do with like the font or something. Nope, it's still there. What is going on? Like, where is this coming from? I'm going to cut this out here like this. Paste it in here. Oh, you know what? It's in parentheses. So it's doing something weird when it has parentheses there. Okay, so we'll take that out. And we'll just do kuruma instead. Because our life will be a lot easier if we do that. And I'm going to say a new car. But grammatically, I don't think this is correct. But because if it's that's a new car, it would probably be like kuruma ga atarashi. Like put emphasis on the car by putting the ga. But I don't care. If it's not right, we'll work with it as we have it here. So the idea is that we have this. That's the sample sentence. We're going to upload this. And then from here, we're going to get some output. So here we'll have the transcription. We will have the translation. So this might say a new car. And then we'll have grading, right? So then we'll have grading here. And maybe we'll give it like a grade score. So say B plus, and you know, and here I would say like very, very close. Or maybe the thing is like, because the other thing was we're telling like how good was the writing, right? So like it's not just about the sentence; it's also about the writing. So, you know, you know, something about your writing and what you need to change to make it a better sentence. So the idea is like, or it's either that or we could score it a different way. We could say like the writing is good. I don't know. So the point is that we'll have these three components. This will be our output. I really don't know why it keeps doing that. It's like all these weird characters. I never use these. So I think maybe one of the boot campers have really messed stuff up for me here. But we'll go over to this. Again, it was my fault for making the thing public, but it has been a bit of a headache trying to fix it. So we'll bring this back to the back here. And so the idea is that we have this. And so we got this, right? And then from here, we have this. But the idea is that when this app starts up, I don't know how to fix this. They're all blue. That one's blue. No, these are all different. So maybe this isn't me. Maybe this is just the Lucidchart changing something. But anyway, so the start of it, we create a session ID, and we have a word group that's coming in here, word group ID. And so the idea is that we have these words that are coming as a payload, and this is from our database. It's two separate calls. If you remember, it's like a review. No, not a review. It's like the raw endpoint. There's more to it than this. It's the raw endpoint. And then there's the, sessions or launch endpoint, or it's the, we'll have like session ID equals, number. And then we have group ID equals number up here. I'm trying to make that a query string. And that's when it launches our app, like localhost, whatever it is. We'll just say, it doesn't matter what the number is. I'm just putting whatever here. And so the idea is that we have this as our, from the launch. So like lang portal launch link, right? And so the idea is that that's going to set out that. And from here, our app, which is this app here, we'll just, again, I really can't stand those colors, but we'll drag this out like this, and we'll send this to the back, and we'll bring this up in the top left corner. And so this is going to be our learning, writing app, writing practice app. And the thing is that when this happens here, maybe we'll get a box inside of here like this. Be like initialize app. This will have to go out to that raw endpoint, which is on Lang Portal. Remember, that gets us the raw group data. So it's something like groups, words, whatever. It's going to vary based on, if you remade the backend, you'll have to check your endpoints. I have two backends I can use. I'll probably just work with the Python one because I'm not 100% sure about my Golang backend at this point. But it could work at some point. And the idea is that it will initialize the app, right? And what the initialized app is going to do is it's going to pull in the words, and it's going to then just produce a question or a sample, an example sentence, right? And so the idea is that we will get an example sentence here, produce question. And then the idea is that at the end of this, it's like, next, like we'll go next question, right? And so the idea is that, after this, it's not really, this like initialize app, it's like initialize, like, it's like whatever you want to call it, but that's the idea. So the idea is like the Lang will launch this portal app. It has to initialize with the raw, like the group data. It's going to need to produce a question, which will probably have an LLM here. So we'll need like an LLM to create question. And then from here, we'll have our example sentence. We have to upload it. And on this step, we need to, process image, which would have multiple steps in it. And so we have a lot of moving parts here. We can continue to keep diagramming this to kind of talk about the steps. I'd rather just kind of jump into it and get it done. But, again, we're doing this so that we can kind of have a conversation about what it is that we want to describe over here of its technical requirements. Because the more we document, the easier it is for us to produce the code. So we'll just we'll call this technical specs. And we can write it in here for now. And so I'm trying to think, how do we describe this application? So the first thing is this application needs to take in a session and group ID. So I'm going to just zoom in here. And we'll say the first thing is initialization. When the app first initializes, it needs to do the following. Okay? It needs to fetch from localhost, whatever it is, 5,000 API groups ID words. It's just actually groups. It's not groups words. I don't know why I wrote that earlier. I just got that wrong, I guess. But it's probably sessions, like sessions, ID, groups ID. It might be that. We'll have to take a look there. But the idea is that it will be sessions.group ID or whatever. But we'll say groups right now. I don't know what it is, but we'll take a look here. This will return a collection of words in a JSON structure. This will return a collection of words with, it will have Japanese words with their English translation. Okay. We need to store these words, this collection of words in memory. Okay, so that's the first thing we needed to do. After we have stored those words in memory, we should have a button to start practice. So we'll say setup, initialization, so setup. The user will then see a button to generate sentence. When they press this button, they will then see an example sent. So when they press this button, the app will choose a word at random. And using an LLM, it will construct a simple sentence using JLPT N5 grammar. So the app will choose a word at random, and using an LLM, it will construct a simple sentence using JLPT N5 grammar. It should only use words within the group or just the single target word. Okay? And maybe we'll have to think about that, but the app will choose a word at random, and using element will construct a simple sentence using GLPT N5. It should use words within the group or just a single target word. So an example might be, so let's say, imagine we have the following words. So we might have car, book, new, so the user will see a button to generate sentence. When they press this button, the app will choose a word at random using the LML. It will construct a simple sentence using GLPT grammar. It should only use words within the group or just a single target word. I almost kind of feel like what you need is you need a bank of words that are so common that they should always show up. You know what I mean? So it should only use we'll have to really describe this a bit better, but the user will see a button to generate a sentence. When they press this button, the app will choose a random word and the LM will construct a simple sentence. So we'll say, sentence constructor. Okay. So the first thing is we wanted to use a word. I almost kind of feel like what I should be doing is taking this here and writing this in Markdown, because if we're going to be feeding this anyway for an LM to build out our stuff, that might be a little bit easier for us. So I'm going to go back over to VS Code, where our code base is here, and I'm going to go and make a new README. We'll call this text specs, as this seems to be a really good pattern that I've liked so far, textspecs.md. Okay, and so I'm going to go paste this in here, and we'll go to the top, and we'll mark this like this, and then we'll just say initialization step. So when the first app, it needs to, for the following. So this is like, we call it the initialization step, but then here what we're seeing is like, what is the first page? So page states, right? And so this would be this one. Page states represents the state the single page application should behave from a user's perspective. We're kind of mixing, like we're not writing a backend and a front end for this. We're just kind of writing a single doc. When we're building a more complex one, it kind of makes sense to separate it out. But like, just even think of like Streamlight and the nature of it. It's kind of like together. And so there's some way that we can do that together. Page states respects this. Page states describes the state of the single page app should behave from a user's perspective. So those are called user behavior acceptance tests or whatever. But anyway, the setup: the user will see a button to generate a sentence. When they press this button, the app will choose the app will say the app will generate a random generate a simple sentence. Then over here, what I have is LLM agent. We'll call this sentence generator LLM prompt. So here we have generate a sentence using the following word. Right? Also include generate a simple sentence. The grammar should be use JLPT 9.5 grammar. To JLPT 5.9 grammar. You can use the following vocabulary to construct a simple sentence. So we have simple objects. So e.g. book, car, ramen, sushi, simple verbs: drink, eat, meet, to meet, to eat, to drink. And then simple, yeah, I mean, maybe that, right? So like, and so maybe like simple times. So we might have more like we'll say like morning, or like a simple time. So tomorrow, today, yesterday. And we might even want to limit to say only this. Like here it's having a little bit more free reign, but I'm just trying to get it done. Okay, so generate a simple sentence using the following word. The grammar should be scoped to JLPTN5 grammar and stuff. But there's more than like another, like it depends on how smart you want this thing to be. But we could say like, make sure that when you generate a sentence that you always use a different word from the bank and continue to rotate. Because if it's random, it could keep pulling the same word, but I'm not worried about that right now. That's something that if you want to do, you can absolutely do that. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. So it says, when the app initializes, it needs to send the following endpoint. That makes sense. Page states describe the state. The user will then see a button to generate sentence. When they press this button, the app will generate a simple sentence. So, which when pressed will generate a sentence using the sentence generator LLM, we'll say state, practice state. The user will then see a generate, and I guess we could write this as like behavior-driven development. So if you look up BDD, not body dysmorphism, that's a very serious issue, but I'm talking about like Jerkins. Cucumber. And so this is like a way that you can write use case stories. And if you write based on these, so it's like scenario, like given I have this, then do that, right? And so this might be a really good way that we could write them. I'm not sure why they just won't show us examples. Like here it is, like scenario, like feature. Is it Friday yet? Everybody wants to know when it's Friday. A study isn't Friday. Given today, Sunday, when I ask this, then I should do that. And so we can kind of work with that to do that. I'm not expecting you to fully understand that, but we'll say, when a user first starts up the app, they will only see a button called Generate Sentence. When they press the button, the app will. When they press the button, the app will generate a sentence using the sentence generator LLM, and the state will move to practice state. Okay, so now we're in practice state. So when a user is in practice state, they will see an English sentence. They will also see an upload field under the English sentence. And they will see a button called Submit for Review. Right? When they press the submit for review button. So it says when a user first starts something, they will only see a button called Generate Sentence. When they press the button, the app will generate a sentence using and the state will practice state, right? When a user is in practice state, they will see an English sentence. They will also see an upload field under the English sentence. They will see a button called Submit for Review. When they press Submit for Review button, an uploaded image will be passed to the grader, the grading system. The grading system will return the following information. And there'll be three things we'll get, which is transcription of image, translation of image, translation of transcription, grading, describing a letter score, and a description. So we'll go here, a letter score. It'd be fun if we could make like S the highest level, because for some reason, How does Japanese grading letter system work with the S letter? Maybe like S rank. I think that's what it's called, S rank. So we'll go back over to here. So transcription, grading, using the S rank to score. A description of whether the the attempt was accurate to the English sentence and suggestions. So we'll go to that. The thing is, like, I want to say, like, observe, like, oh, it looks like you're trying to write this. Maybe this is what you're trying to do. I'm not sure how I would do that, but we have that. So we have this called the grading system, right? So we'll describe what the grading system is. What does the grading system do? Well, it has to take in an image, right? And so it needs to first transcribe. So the grading system will do the following. It will transcribe the image using manga OCR. It will use an LLM to produce a literal translation of the transcription. It will use another LLM to produce a grade, right? It will then return this data to the front end app. Okay. So we have that. So now we kind of know our entire process here. So we have the setup stage, the practice stage. And so the grade, so it says when a user is in a practice state, they will see an English sentence. They will also see an upload field under the English name. They will see a button called submit for review. When they press the submit for review button, upload an image will be pressed. The grading system, the grading will then provide. Maybe we should break this up. So submit for review. When they press the submit for review button, an upload will pass to the grading system, and the app will transition to the review state. And so I'll bring this into the review state. When a user is in the review state, the user will still see the English sentence. The upload field will be gone. The user will now see a review of the output from the grading system. Okay. There will be a button called Next Question. When clicked, it will generate a new question and place the app into practice state. Okay, so we basically described the entire application. And so the question is, like, we have this. Will this work? So what I want to do is I want to take this over and see if I can feed this over to Claude, right? We could use whatever we want, but I'm just going to use Streamlit to kind of stick with this with Claude. It's going to go over here and I'll go over to here and I'll say, generate me a Streamlit app. Okay, and so I'm going to paste this in here. That did not paste in right, but that's okay. It should probably figure it out still. It's taking those literal expectations of those states, right? So you have Streamlit request, enum, JSON, typing, OpenAI. OpenAI is fine. I wouldn't mind trying to use this locally. I do have OpenAI, so that's going to be really easy for me, but we'll go ahead and copy this. And I just want to copy it over so I can kind of see the code. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to paste this in. And let's see if we can make sense of what it's produced. Okay. So here we have a class, Python class, and it has 3 constants in them. I'm not sure why I did it this way, but I assume that would work. I don't see why it wouldn't. We need to initialize our app, so we have our initializing session state, and we have load vocabulary. It's interesting that comes afterwards. I'm going to scroll on down. I'm just curious if there's anything else after this. Nope, it just has that. So we go down here. It does have a .run, so I guess run gets called last. Or no, that's the thing that gets, sorry. We go up here. It first runs this. So it's going to initialize the state, the session state. So if the app state is not in session state, then set it to this one. If the current state is not this, then set it to that one. Otherwise, do this stuff. So it's initializing some stuff. That's fine. We can have that like that. And we have load vocabulary. So here we have request get localhost 5000. And so it's going out there to get it. I'm noticing here that it's not replacing the ID here, which is kind of annoying. So it's supposed to do that. We'll look down here for generate sentence. So already I kind of want to open this up in Windsurf because, you know, we can keep copying and pasting between Claude and this, but I have a feeling like I'm basically just going to be using it directly. So I'm actually going to open this up over here and I'm going to close out all these. So let's say don't save. I'm going to go ahead and just open this folder. So I'm going into writing practice and we'll say okay here. Oops. I've already lost Windsurf. Come back, Windsurf. And I'm going to open this up. And I want to help it out. So I'm going to say over here, I'm going to say write. And so looking at here, I can tell like right away, you know, in the load vocabulary function, it's supposed to pass programmatically the ID from the query string when the app first loads from like a query string called group ID. Okay, so that's something that's missing right off the bat. So let's fix that. I mean, this code is so small, it's not like too hard for us to figure out on our own. I have it set to write mode, so it's going to try to fix it. So I gotta pay close attention to what it's doing. So let's take a look here. Nothing below. So here, what it's doing, it's removing this from here. That makes sense. Well, let's see here. Get the query parameter. So experimental get query params. That's an experiment. That's not even new. So now I'm like kind of looking at this going, okay, what's going on here? So I'm going to go over to the internet and I'm just going to go and paste this in here. So this is deprecation notice, right? So now it actually uses this. So I'm going to copy this because clearly Claude is a little bit out of date. So I'm going to go ahead and write this in here so it knows. I'm not an expert with Streamlit. I just looking going, I don't feel like that's an experimental feature, right? So we go here and now we should get the group ID. If the group ID is not set, no group ID was provided by the parameter. And then the idea is to get a response with localhost 5000 API groups group raw. So that looks good to me. I'm going to accept this code. I don't know if it's going to work, but the point is that we'll work through this as we go. And so it gets back a JSON response. It's going to store the vocabulary. Now it matters what format the vocabulary is in, or it needs to be aware of what the vocabulary is going to look like. And right now it doesn't know. So that might be something that we might want to let it know. Now, yeah, I'm just thinking about this for a second. I'm just trying to decide: do I want to continue to review the code here, or do I want to bring in my other code here? So that one looks fine. I think what I want to do is I want to bring into this the original Lang portal, because I just don't want to be confused about like the new one. I don't want to have to try to work with my Golang app, as it is not what I'm the best at. So I'm going to go here and say github.com, and we'll say exam pro co. And this is going to be the 2025 here, FreeGenAI here. And so this Lang portal has some endpoints that are no longer implemented. I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go to here. This is the commit that I want. So I wonder if I can download this exact version. Browse the repository at this point. So I'm clicking here. And so now all I want is that code. Now, if I press period, it's up here. I think I should get that code. Let's see if that works. I'm logged in to do that with pressing the period there. And so give it a moment here. We have Lang portal. And so I just want to make sure it has those endpoints are implemented. So I'm going to go into the lib or the routes directory, because I got rid of some for Ryan when we were working on this here, so that we had something to code on. And if we look here, in here, I'm looking for review. Maybe it was here, study sessions maybe. Yes, so this one is fine. So this one's good. I'm gonna go ahead and download this. Okay, and I'm just gonna download this to my desktop for now. And I'm gonna have to, yeah, it doesn't like to download direct. So what I have to do here is I need to, I'm just trying to decide, because I have one called Lang portal. I think what I'm going to do is go into the Omen King folder here, and I'm going to just rename this to Go, to the Go version, so I'm not confused. And it doesn't want me to do that. So that's fine. I'm going to just make a temporary folder here. We'll call this temp. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to download, and I'm going to navigate over to sites. In here, I'm going to go into the Omen King folder. I'm going to go into this one. I'm going to go into the temp folder, and I'm going to select that folder to download it. And it says, yep, that's fine. You can view it. Yep, you can save it. And so now it's going to download all that content. I'm going to give it a little bit of time. It might take a bit of time, so I'm just going to pause here. All right, so I think that downloaded. Let's go take a look and see if it's actually there. So I'm trying to find the folder. I got so many folders going on here. We'll go back a step here, back another step. Reading the correct one, I can't even tell. So I'm going to go and just navigate there manually again. So we'll go into Omen King here, into this one. And I have that temp directory. And so I'm just going to rename this now to the Python one, or Flask. So now we'll know which is whisk, which is wish, which is whisk, which is which, the difference between the two, right? And so we'll just say Flask React. So now I really know that one there. And so I can go back over to my local host, and we need to just get this started up. So I'm going to go into I'm in VS Code. You'll see I'll be managing multiple ones here. It's just how it's going to go. And I'm going to cd into Lang portal Flask Reask. And yep, I don't care. And I only really need the back end, because the front end I don't really, well, I mean, if we want to launch the app, I guess that we will need that when we do that. But I'm just going to do a pip install -r requirements.txt. I probably shouldn't need to do this, but just in case I do. Oh, we got to go in the back end, right? And then we run that. Okay. And so now we need to initialize the database. I think it's invoke initdb. That's because I have a, whatever that task is called. If you don't know, get the thing to explain it to you, because you have all these AI coding systems that can tell you how to do it. And so now if I want to run this, we'll do python app.py. And so now this is running on local port 5000. And so I guess we should really try to add the app. So we're almost an hour in here, but I got to go eat dinner. So I'm going to be back. I'm going to pause. And I guess what I want to try to wrap up this video is to get the Lang, like this application showing up in Lang portal. And then we'll figure out how to connect and bring the data over, and then once we have that, we'll implement it. But I don't think this is going to be hard to implement. We might be able to get this all done in the next hour in the next video. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay, I'll be back. I'm just going to eat something, and then we'll wrap this video up. All right, that was a quick dinner. So we have the back end running. We'll have to get the front end running as well, I guess, because we need to see what we're doing. And I'm just going to go into that portal, that folder again. So we have lang portal, not that one. Lang portal, FLAC reask. We'll say front end here, and this one's going to be npm install, and then we'll do an npm run dev. So I think we're going to have to decide what we want the port to start on for that other application, which shouldn't be too difficult. As that is installing, I'm going to go over to the FLAC React app here. It looks like it's started. I'm going to do npm run dev. I was going to start filling in that data, but that's totally fine. So I'm just looking for wherever that window is. We have so many windows open here. It's just getting out of hand. Let's just close a few more here. It was this one we're working with. No. Just give me a second. I basically lost it, but it's totally fine. So what I'm going to do here, one second. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to localhost. Is it 805? No, it's 5 something. Yeah, 5173. And right now it doesn't have that other app loaded in there. So we're just giving that a moment to load here. Let's take a look. That says 5173, so that's good. It's just thinking. And so if we go over to our study activities, we have typing tutor in here. Now I don't have it in this repo, I have it in the other one. And I did upload it to the ExamPro code repo so that people can download that one, but I need this other activity to be here. So the way I'm going to add that is that we're going to go into our seed data here. By the way, if you are not working with this Python one, you can code it into your own. But if you want to keep pace with these lessons, you might want to just get the Python one working. But if we go into study activities here, this is kind of the JSON structure I have for importing that data. So I'll bring that one down. We're going to call this writing practice. Writing practice. And this is going to have a port. And maybe this will be port 8081. Right, and so this one here needs to have some kind of asset. Right now we don't have one, so I'm just going to let it be broken, and we're going to remove that out until we have one for later. So now what I need to do is I need to get rid of this database, as this is not going to work for me, so I'll just delete this one permanently. So delete. And I'm going to go back over to here, and I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to go ahead and reinitialize this here so we have a new database. It is complaining. I'm not sure why. Maybe I'm missing a comma. I am. There we go. And so we'll try this again. And so now it's reinitialized. I'm going to go back and run this application. I'm going to go back over to here. And I have, this here, right? The localhost 5173. And if we go back and give this a refresh, we should now have this other activity. Right, so now we have the writing practice one. And this is going to launch this other app. But our other app needs to start on a very specific port. So we are working in Windsurf over here. And this is fine, but I need this to start on a very, very specific port. The other thing is I need to make sure this is the correct endpoint. API groups raw. Now, if we had the lang portal in here, we could probably ask Windsurf to take a look between the two. And maybe we could do that. But again, I like to just keep things simple and open things in folders. Maybe I should just start working everything in one repo, but I just don't want to. And so I'm going to go here, and I want to make sure that that is the correct endpoint. So I'm going to look under groups. I'm looking for that raw endpoint. Because I want to see what it's called. So it's called groups init words raw. So that's what it is. Group, etc. words raw. So if we go back over to Windsurf, groups. So it's pretty close. It's just missing this words raw. And so that will give us back a response in some kind of structure. I'm going to go ahead and do a console log here. Oh, no. It's not. We can't do that. It has to be this print response JSON, right? So I want to see what JSON's being returned back here. The other thing is I want to tell what port to start on. So, can we make this Streamlight app start on port 8081? Right. We're going to be more prescriptive about exactly what we want these ports to start on. Okay, didn't need that. Oh yeah, I missed that. That's my own fault. And so this should start on port 8081. Now there's a lot of code here, and so we might have wanted to start with something more bare bones, but We'll see what happens. Now I want to see if this actually runs, and it is suggesting to run it there. I'm going to just open up terminal here, and I'm hoping that this is in, yes, it is in the WSL side of it. So we'll say run apt.py, and we're now starting on localhost 851.01, which is bizarre because we told it to start on this port 800.801. It says this is not supported. So I'm going to go back over to this, and I'm just going to say, like, why did it do that? That's clearly the wrong port. I'm actually surprised it did that. So now it's making a configure.toml. I didn't know we need that. And so it's setting on port 8081 on this one. I can just stop it this way and restart it. So we'll just hit stop here, and I'm going to go ahead and try to run this again. It says 8081's in use. What could be using 8081 right now? I don't really know. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know, but maybe there's something we can kill, because I don't know what's running 8081, but whatever it is, I want it to stop. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and kill that. And we'll say this here. I mean, something's running, right? No. Let's kill what's running on 8081. That's what I really want to happen. Okay, so we'll do that instead. I just want to kill that. I mean, we never changed it away from 8081, so I'm not sure what it's talking about. I'm just going to stop this here, and we're going to go ahead and start this up again. So now this is starting up on the correct port. I'm going to open this in the browser. And so we have it, and it says no group ID, query parameter. And that's totally fine because it doesn't have one, right? And this is actually what it should display. So if we go over to this here and this one here, and we say launch, right? We drop it down to verbs. It's double loaded, which it shouldn't be, but that's fine. Now it's saying group ID, etc. And so what I was expecting was to get the logged out information. So if we go back over to Streamlit here, you know, it says geo. I'm not sure what geo is, operation not supported, but it's not showing out any output. Like, so go here. My print statement isn't showing anything in Gradio, or sorry, in the terminal for Streamlit. And we have this error. So we have a few problems. So for the print statement, we have to use the st-write. Okay, so that's going to be our first thing that we'll need to fix. And then here it's saying the expecting value error suggests we're getting empty. Let's modify the code. Now let's update the app for better handling of the API response. Okay. And maybe we take a look at those diffs as it's going here. Which is fine, yeah. And then this will help us understand. Try to run the app again. We'll do this. Okay, so we'll stop this here. Notice like I don't really let it to run the app because that's where I run into issues. Still don't know why we're getting this thing. I don't know what that is. But I'm going to go back over to here. We'll give this a nice hard refresh. And so we get a 404 response, which is totally fine. We go down below here and we get a 404. And I'm still not getting any logging. This is kind of annoying. So I'm going to go and stop the app. I just want to make sure. We'll just accept it all. Say accept all. And what I want to see is whether any of this stuff is printing. So we'll say, what was it? st.print. Is that what it said earlier? That we could, if we wanted to get information, it was st-print? st-write. I mean, it seems to be auto-completing that, st-write. And yeah, we'll write that there. I'm just curious, like if I run this, do I see it now? And so that's not working. I'm going to go to the internet, the old internet here. First, I want to know what this error is. What is geo? Why do we keep getting this? Could you provide a little bit more information? The problem exists in both pip and conda. I think the problem is with Python 3.12, the same as with this. I'm not sure what this happens. So it seems like it's just a problem. But anyway, st-write, Streamlit. We'll take a look at what that is. This is writing in the app. I want to print, like, so say Streamlit print to logs, print to console. That's what I really want. That's what I really want. And so here, we're going to look the old way. So it's also suggesting OS, right? Logging actually doesn't seem to show up anywhere, neither the browser, the file. Found a way and added it to the post. Okay, how do I? So we'll say Streamlit not printing to console. So that, like, if we need a way of debugging. If we can't print to console, we're going to run into some issues here. Just a second. So I asked Claude, and so it looks like ST-Write is more about client side, and printing here should be server side. So maybe that's our problem, is that we were kind of expecting this to show up here, and it's not. So, and I also tried the OS write, which someone else suggested. That didn't really help us. So I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to just say print hello. And so maybe this one will show up, even though we already did that prior, right? So I'm not sure why that would have shown up before. And we're still not seeing anything, right? So this is kind of frustrating. You know, print is not showing when, you know, could this be because of how we run it via Streamlit, run, etc.? Because I wonder, because it is its own binary, if that would cause an issue with it. So here they're saying, let me clarify, the behavior print statement depends on how you're launching. If you're running directly with Streamlit, then the print should show in the terminal. It doesn't. If you're running through a service container, then might be redirected to logs. You might need to access the logs. I'm just running. I'll just show what I'm running. It is a little bit frustrating. We'll go back over to here, and I'm going to copy it like this. But because I get this makes me think that there's some other issue that's going on here. And so I'm not 100% certain. So I guess it has a few different ways we can run it. So what I'm going to do to just rule this out, we're just going to make a simple one here called file. We'll call it print.py. And I'm going to go back over to here and test. Now, you don't need to copy. I mean, you can get this from the repo if you really want. It's not cheating, folks, if you grab from my repo. As long as you're not grabbing everything, right? If you need to grab a little bit here and there, it's not a big deal. So we have a few different ways that we can run that according to what they're saying here. So we have these three modes. My thought is that what's going to happen here is that this first one is our problem, or it could just be our code. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and just copy this here, print. You notice there's like 3 different ways we can run this print. I don't really want to run it at server headerless, but we'll try this first one. So we'll stop this, we'll run this. No logging. Okay, so we'll try the second one. No logging, right? We'll try the third one. No logging. So I would say that all 3 did not log. So we'll go back over here. So all 3 did not log. We also get this error. Of the app, but related to print. So yeah, you know, we have to have good troubleshooting debugging tools or we're going to have a really hard time. So it says it's typically related to the GTK. It isn't related to the printing issue. Now let's try a more robust logging to confirm the ST out capture. So this one here, they're doing way more stuff. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and we will paste this in here. We'll try this again. We can open in the browser, like we can see browser output working here. Run this in Streamlit and then click and then check if a file was created. Let's go give a refresh here. It was. Oh, so we have a deep out log and a Streamlight debug log. So we have a and I'm not sure why we can't read this. We'll say open anyway. It's a little bit excessive. That's a little bit too much information. So it seems like the debug output is something we can use. So I don't need to ask it anymore about that. Now we have a method that we can utilize. So what we want is the debug output. So I'm just taking a look here, setup base configuration. It seems like we shouldn't have to do this, but you know, this is why I kind of like Gradio over. I mean, Streamlit's good, but I'm just saying this is kind of the reason why I prefer Streamlit over Gradio, is just because it works as expected. And this one has more moving parts. So here we're configuring it. I don't really want this log set up. I want to take this one here, and I'm just going to replace it here, like this. Okay, and open with. Well, hold on. I don't know if, I mean, that other log worked. That other log actually did work. It's just that it was very excessive. And so maybe what we need to do here, this one actually did work. It was just that we had too much output. So I'm going to just delete this here. And we will work with this. And we'll just say app.log. We'll just call it app.log. And we have different debugging levels here. And so what I want to do is say logging info initializing. So this will initialize it. So if this works, then we have a way to debug. You really need to make sure you have means to debug to be able to do what you want. If you can't do that, you're going to be in trouble. So we'll go ahead. I'm going to give this a refresh. Did we get it here? Did it log? I mean, maybe we need to open up the application, localhost 8001. I don't think we should have to. We get a nice refresh here. And we'll go back here and give this a refresh. And so, I mean, it's calling Streamlit debug. Oh, you know what? Did we start the wrong one? It's print. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll delete these two. My fault. And so we'll try this. Whoops. We'll try this again. So this one is going to be Streamlit app, right? We'll keep that other print around here for debugging. And so I'm going to refresh this. I was hoping that I would see something right here, but maybe it doesn't start up until we give it a hard refresh here. Now it shows up. Okay, we go over to here, and we end up with way too much output. And I'm going to go back to Claude because I need it to be a little bit more manageable than that. So it says here, the log entries are showing internal file watching. This happening because the default logging is catching all logs, including the Streamlit internal. Let's modify it so only show your application debugging. And so here, I mean, it's changed something. It's not very clear what it's changed. But I'm going to go back and stop this here because this thing is just making a giant log file, which is not going to help any of us here. I'm going to go and refresh this. Oh, I think it's gone. Oh, no, it's right here. We'll delete this. Delete that. And so I'm going to go back over to this file here. And create a custom logger for the app. That sounds a lot better. So we'll go here and do this. Say app.log. And we'll hold on here. This one's just called app. And then it's saying set the debug level. Let's confuse. It says create a custom logger for your app only and then create the file handler. I mean, I guess it's fine. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the file handler. Oh, then you, okay, so then you do that. All right, so we'll go ahead and grab this. I just don't know why it's called my app on here instead of app, but that's not a big deal. So we'll go here, and this will be all of our setup custom logging. I almost think like Streamlit wasn't worth it because of this one particular thing, but you know, maybe on other people's machines it just works, and so it's less of an issue. But now we should be able to do logger debug. I mean, we have info, but we'll do logger debug. This one's called logger now. I guess we could have called it logging to make it consistent, but who cares? And we'll try to start this up again. I'm going to give this a refresh, make sure there's no other logs in here. And let's see if that's a little bit more sane. So we still don't see anything here, but we'll go back over to our browser and we'll go back over to our app here. And you know, once we get the debugger working, we'll stop the video and we'll move on to the second part of this video. But I want to just see any logs here. Did a log. And now we get our single log. That's perfect. So now, since we have that, it's going to be a lot easier for us to see what we're doing. We can also tail that log here. So if we make a another bash here, we can just say tail, was it tail f? Tail f app.log or tail -n app.log. That was tail f. Was it live tailing? It's been a while, so I thought it was just -f. Using tail command to tail a file live. Yeah, -f to follow. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Oh, maybe it didn't auto finish the, there we go. So now we're tailing it. So if there's any changes, we can just see it in here on this tab, right? So what I'm going to do is go back over to here. This is like an old DevOps trick. So we have the logger here, right? And the real question is like, we're getting a 404 if we go back to the app. So we said response 404, but we want to know what's going on here. 404 means that it couldn't find it. So here we can see the address, and I might just say like up here URL, and I want to go ahead and grab this here like this. It's a bit hard to copy paste, but I'll bring it on to the next line here. And so we'll say URL equals like this. And we'll do this. Okay, so now we have that there. Oh, that number is wrong. Why is it 499? Why is it 499? There's nothing on 499. Maybe because we gave it something random before. So was it 50173? What is it? No, it's 5,000, right? 5000. So I wonder if it changed it from that before, but what we can do, since we have our logger debug, I'd rather just print out the URL here. Okay. And it's printing out the response in here, which is fine. It's not exactly what I want, but we'll give this a nice refresh here. And I don't know if we have to restart our app for that. No, we don't. But it's hitting this endpoint. So you can see it's going to 5,000 API groups, one raw word. If we go back over to VS Code, I know it's a big old mess here. But if we check our backend here, we're getting a 404. We're saying API groups, one words, raw does not exist. And so here we have, oh, you know why? It's not API, it's just groups. And this is the problem, this is the inconsistency problem that I have with this one. And the question is like, do I correct it? Like, which order should I do it in? I'm not really sure. But because if I change this here, this is going to break typing tutor because typing tutor is coded to work with this one. So, you know, it's up to you what you want to do. I'm going to actually change this to be API. I just want it to be consistent. And so I'm going to stop and start this. We probably don't have to restart it like that. But if we go back over to this and give this a hard refresh, now we get a 200 and it shows the response data. And we're using the ST right and it's printing it out right here. So now we have an exact idea of what the structure is. It's returning a lot of words. Is that how many that gets returned back? That many? You know what it probably is because the database is double loaded that it's causing this issue. But we're at the start of it. So now we're kind of in a working state. We have a means to debug. And I think the rest here is going to be really easy. I'm going to stop this video and then we're going to continue on in the next video and finishing the implementation, okay?